Of traditional farming growing up in the Central Valley in California, typically it's a very water heavy. It's hard. I know it takes a lot of effort from farmers to get the crops that they produce. Constantly, I'm driving through the Central Valley, looking at all these fields and the acres and acres of fields, and I'm thinking like, so much time and energy has gone into making these crops come to fruition. Is there a better way to make these crops come up faster? Comparing those processes that I know they use, use all this water and these chemicals and stuff, I think, is there a better way that's maybe more environmentally friendly? Is there also a way that is more appealing to the general public, not saying we're using chemicals on everything, but rather can we do something more natural? And going off the videos I saw, it sounds like this lady, she's come up with this method to use microorganisms to solve this problem, which I think is really inspiring. And I think it's a great method. I hope that it is widespread, not just with her studies, but also other people's studies on using this technique to have more sustainable and efficient farming practices. And it sounds like she's also extremely passionate about what she's doing too,
Yeah.
which I find extremely inspiring. And it seems like that by using social media and stuff, she can really take her message and spread it to everyone, and hopefully that it can spread out more. When I picture a farmer, I think of a person that's covered in dirt and soil, and they typically aren't surrounded with technology, trying to spread their market influence like that. But it seems like this person, she seems to be taking the approach of taking advantage of the technology and the internet and all these things to spread her message, which is so non-traditional. I think it's something that many people can adopt too. One of those revolutionary things is just taking advantage of the tools you have access to. Yeah, it's completely different from, I think, stereotypes surrounding farmers, and should be taken advantage of.
So, have you ever seen the farmers in your country have adopted those strategies of market or the technology?
I would say in my country, not necessarily. I feel like there are the people that do adopt technology like that to spread farming are not the farmers themselves, but the people helping out the farmers.
Who study biology.
Marketing, right? And so they can take more control over. They have more power to control.
Yeah.
The pricing and stuff like that. Because I think in the video she mentioned like she went to factories and stuff, and she didn't like the prices. And what she was getting at was like the farmers can take more control of the prices by being able to adopt all the factors of production into their control, rather than there's a name for that, vertical market share versus horizontal market share, something like that. It's one of the vertical versus horizontal, where it's like controlling all the factors of production versus like all your competition. And so by doing that vertical market share, or I don't think it's market share, but by doing a vertically control over your product and the prices that come from it. Yeah. Like do I find her goal to go back to the starting place meaningful? It makes me reflect on my personal goals. Once I finish with my career and I get a high degree like a PhD or a master's, I would probably similarly want to go back to my home and that rural environment and see if I can make a change there. Because while it's great having a big city job, I think that real change and real happiness and satisfaction comes from helping smaller civilizations and rural societies. You'll find more impact, I think, on your personal self and your personal mindset that way, and you'll be more satisfied with your work. Now, the thing about that too is, if you affect rural societies, then you can start building a nice foundation for your new technology, because let's say you get a bunch of these rural places on board. Now you have a bigger thing saying, oh, look at all these rural places that we couldn't convince before, but now they seem so convinced and they seem so ready. And oftentimes these rural places are very difficult to convince to adopt new things because they're so set in their standard traditional methods, right? And so if you're able to convince people to adopt technology, that's more of a persuasive point for these bigger cities. If we flip the roles, for example, let's say I go to a big city and I come with this idea and they like, okay, this is great. But then they try forcing it upon these, smaller cities and they don't want to adopt it. Well, that's not going to be as effective in the end. And so if we reverse roles, then I think that could be effective in pushing out your study and improving the world around you.
Makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah. It's about after watching this video, what made you really feel the Chinese agriculture is really modern?
Okay. Considering that there is a person that is trying to modernize it, makes me feel like there is a high effort trying to modernize it, right? And so that means that if there's an effort to modernize it, that means it must be traditional in the first place. So it makes me happy to see there is an effort to modernize it. And of course, with this modernization, there seems to be a lot of benefits that come with that. And that makes me happy to see. It makes me also ask, are there more people in China that are trying to modernize this as well? Could these people collaborate with each other to help modernize the system? Has this been a problem of trying to get to modernize it for years, or is she the pioneering person in this field? Right? These are all questions I have. So every time that, let's say, a problem is discovered and there is a solution that's proposed to it, it always makes me happy to see that there is something that's been trying to be done about this problem. But of course, there also always needs to be a mindset of is this really needed? You know, what goodness is this going to spread in the world? Are there any negatives that are going to come from this, right? Because everything has costs, and pros and cons, right? And so I also question, are there any negatives that come with your processes as well? But yeah, I think the overall modernization process with Chinese farming systems seems to be a good thing from these videos that I've watched.